Boom! Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Dope and Dharma. I am Dharma. He is the Dope Doctor. How are y'all doing? And this is Dharma time, by the way. Oh, did you just say something? Okay, good. Okay. I thought we were having audio issues. I was like, are you kidding me? Everything was perfect until we hit the show. Yeah. So anyways, what's going on, everybody? Once again, this is Dope and Dharma. This is the Dharma Time Hour. This is our first show in a little while, right? Like a couple weeks. I think the last one we did was my death scare episode. And thank you all for the kind wishes and the thoughts. You know, I felt each and every one of them. I did my best to respond as many as I could. But I will say it was overwhelming. There were so many, and I tried. So if I didn't like it or if I missed it, I apologize. I promise you, it was not on purpose, and it was nothing personal. But as Louis can attest, it is overwhelming, man. Like when you're so fixated on getting healthy and taking care of yourself, you kind of like unplug from everything. And then when you start to plug back in, it's like, whoa, like all these notifications start all hitting you at once. So, but anyways, and I am still slightly out of breath, by the way. Like I'm not fully out of the woods yet. We're still in the middle of it all. I still have tests I got to run and doctors I got to see and bills I got to pay, apparently. But in the meantime, yeah, right.
Only if you care about credit.
Yeah, there's no debtor's prison, so. My luck, they'll start it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so is it possible to get like a heart monitor, like while on the show we could hear the beep?
Maybe.
Like,
yeah, maybe.
So at least we know when you're getting a little bit too much, and we know that we need to stop the show.
If you
second, can you get an oxygen mask so every once in a while after you talk, we could hear.
You can get my Darth Vader going. No, if you just see me fall out, that just means something happened. It's bad news. But no, I mean, I don't feel anyways that's going to happen anytime soon. It's just. At the moment, as you can tell, I get a little out of breath when I talk a lot, which sucks when you talk for a living. But, getting better. It's not like it was, obviously. So we're moving in the right direction. Feel semi-confident in the future and what some of the things that are happening that I might be able to kind of get my health back where it needs to be. And so for that, I'm grateful and hopeful. So we'll see. Anyways. Real quick housekeeping before we move on with the show. Of course, I am the president and he is the founder of the Now Matters More Foundation. We help put people in treatment. So if you or anybody you know is struggling with the disease of addiction and needs some help, reach out to us at 833 Now Matters. That's 833 Now Matters. Or you can go to nowmattersmore.org and you can fill out an application, or you can mash that donate button if you just want to give to the cause. And we do have an event coming up on April 11th. It's our annual golf tournament. It's usually a good time. Looking forward to it. We're at a new place this year. Looking forward to seeing everybody's faces. It's been so long with COVID, man. So I know we had one last year, I think, but it wasn't all the same people because I think there was still some kind of affected by COVID. So I'm hoping we'll have the same turnout with the same people this year. I know we were sold out last year, but it was different faces I saw.
About Willis? No, it's the thing is that we had like 10 teams that we'd never had before because all the builders came out.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of new faces, which was cool.
A lot of new faces because it grew.
Yeah.
But
there's faces I'm used to seeing that I didn't see. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the faces this year.
Yep. Celebrity friends will be there again if you want to meet them. You want to try to win some swag where they've signed it, the baseball, football. Things like, or a bat, things like that. So we have Daryl Strawberry will be there again. Curtis Scant will be there. Fred Stokes will be there. Drayton Florence will be there.
Right on. Oh, Drayton's coming to this one?
What was that?
Drayton's coming? Nice.
He came last. Yeah.
Was he? I don't remember. There's so many people last time, dude. There was a lot of people last time. And I think this one you're going to be riding around in the cart with me this time, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not playing this year.
I'm not allowed to play either, apparently.
Me and you are going to have our oxygen machine and our medical team.
Yeah.
Following us around.
Exactly. Real quick, Robin Barber says, "Hi, y'all. Love the shorter beard." Oh, thank you. And then my mom actually asked, "Do we still have any openings for the golf tournament?" I'm going to say I think we do. For both golfers and sponsors, I believe, right?
And volunteers.
Volunteers, yeah.
Yeah.
So
hey, and Marissa's coming down.
Yeah. We get to finally meet her in person.
Got to finally meet Marissa. Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So we'll use that as a segue because we just mentioned a few ladies, and so we'll use that as a segue into what we're talking about today. Was last night when we were having the couch on the local station WOKB that I heard them talking about National Women's Month. I was like, oh, it is National. I looked it up, and sure enough, and I think the theme for this year is caregiving and hope. I think it is the theme for this year. I just looked it up prior, so it's not like I had that knowledge readily available.
It only took you 2 weeks to figure out it's National Women's Month.
I've been a little preoccupied. I'm not gonna lie. I've been a little distracted over the last few weeks. Still am, man. I really underestimated how long it took, or it's taking, to get mentally back into the game. You know what I mean? Like I didn't realize because I had such a good routine of kind of just dealing with everything. And so when I took a break away, I thought I was just going to step right back in, and I didn't realize there's a lot of stuff on my day-to-day plate that I kind of just overlooked because I had such a good routine. But since my routine got all messed up, I came back, and all these things, I was just like, oh my God, it was like overwhelming. But anyways, yes, I did find out that it is National Women's Month, and so I figured we'll talk about women. You know, we both have some really important women in our lives that we love dearly, and we are surrounded by them on a consistent basis. So let's talk about our love for women. Let's do that.
Love them.
Yes. I will start by saying, what you and I were talking to prior to coming on was I definitely think that my appreciation for women has grown as I've grown, right? As I've gotten older, more mature, and I changed my my goals, if you will, as a man, I definitely have grown to appreciate and love them way more than I ever did when I was younger. And that's not to say I didn't like them when I was younger. I was raised by a very strong, independent, single mother. So I knew early on the power that a woman brings to the table. But, I was full of testosterone, and my mom taught me to share. So I was trying to share who I am with all the women I could find.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where that one was going.
So I was more concerned with sharing than I was with appreciating. So as I've gotten older, though, and I'm no longer, that person, I definitely look back and I think now, like, dude, I could not imagine, like, even with just this last thing that I went through, having Angel in my life, having a woman in my life that can really, rise to the challenge kind of a thing, changed everything for me. Like, my first night when I was in the hospital was horrible. It was so brutal. Like, first of all, the beds are not made for somebody my size. My knees were bent the entire time. Like, I could not fully stretch out. They all kept making fun of me every time they came in. But I'm also the type of person, right or wrong, that I don't like asking them for things. I know that's what they're there for. That's what they keep telling me. But I don't feel right asking for, like, hey, can you move my bed up? Can you do this? Not when I was in the ICU, dude. So there's people who, like, really need, like, major help. And so I'm not going to be
you.
Yeah, but I don't need help, like, raising my bed. Like, is that really?
That's why you're in ICU.
I know, but I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I have this thing where I'd rather just not ask for anything. And so that night was miserable. First night was so bad. But the second night when they moved me out of ICU, they allowed Angel to stay the night there. And it was just night and day. It was a complete difference. I was so much more comfortable. She knew exactly kind of like how to, tend to my needs and things of that nature. And I just felt more comfortable with her being there. I'm just not going to lie about that. And that's one of the things I do appreciate about women is, as much as I love my guy friends, women bring a certain amount of compassion, and empathy, just a presence that they bring. That I've met a lot of men in my life, and I've met a lot of really good men in my life, and a lot of very compassionate and loving men. Nothing compared to what a woman can bring to the table. Like it softens us up. I think like I've been around a lot of dudes, and none of them soften me up the way a woman can. And I don't mean in a physical manner, because that's obviously the go-to joke there, but like. I have some guy friends in my life that I met, right?
All the men soften me up.
Yeah. I had a lot of men in my life that inspired me to be better fathers and things of that nature. But none of them inspired me to, like, shed some of my exterior as far as, like, my rough edges type of thing, right? Like, I'm still able to be this tough son bitch around my guy friends, and it's almost respected and nobody cares. I've never been inspired to like shed some of that. But with my wife, the women in my life, my wife, my daughter, even my mother, for that conversation purposes, I do. I find myself being inspired to like want to be softer around them and want to shed some of that stuff. Like it's not as I'm not as proud of that side of myself when I'm around them, and so I do think that is an intangible thing that they bring to the table, is just this inspiration to be softer, right? Like, granted, there's outliers and whatnot, but I'm talking about the majority of them. They do inspire me to be better. I have a thing around my neck. It has my kid's name and my wife and stuff, and it says, "You made me a better man." And I'm 100% true about that. Like, they inspire you to be better, right? Like, and I hear I know you feel the same because I hear the way you talk about Dana, and it's an intangible thing that a woman can bring to the table. That to me, it's part of the reason why they're the stronger of the species, man. They really are. Go ahead. I'll give you. This is your moment to shine because you just had a daughter get married. So you got to see her, blossom into the woman that she is. You got another one on the way. She's 20. How old is Zoe now?
Zoe's 20.
20. Yeah, so she's getting further into her womanhood journey and everything. Like, that's got to be cool to watch, man. Because my 12-year-old now is just starting to, like, she went to a dance last week. Gosh, she was so, like, excited about it. And she looked so beautiful, man. Like, for the first time, when she came around a corner all dressed up, I didn't look at her as my little baby girl anymore. Like, I was like, whoa. Like, she's starting to become a woman now. Like, what the hell? And I think once that initial shock wears off, it is a beautiful thing, right? It's something that makes you proud. So this is your chance to shine and go ahead and get that out. So go for it.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to go back to how you started, because I think there is a transformation. There is a difference between how we are as young men, and then hopefully how we become as older men. I know for me, I mean, I come from a very strong woman and a long line of strong women. So my early childhood,
your mom doesn't take any shit, dude.
No, dude. I used to look at
mine
my
either.
dad like, you got to back this woman up, bro. You can't let her run over you like that. I always thought, Dad, you got to be more like, Fred Sanford. You got to be more like George Jefferson. You got to be more like Archie Bunker. And these were my, at that time in the 70s, those are the men I looked up to, and I really, really felt like that was the kind of man I was going to be. I really did, 100%. If you would have predicted anything different, I don't know how. And my dad just used to look at me and goes, "You're stupid idiot." He goes, "You don't understand." I'm not going to try to do his accent because he has a really cool accent, but he says "stupid idiot." That's how he calls me. That's my nickname, by the way. But so he would always just, see how ridiculous I was. And so that is why, the whole reason I like the Pittsburgh Steelers is because my friend's dad, not only was I born in Pennsylvania, but my friend, my first friend off the military base was this white kid that his dad was from Pittsburgh, and he was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. But beyond that, it's the way he talked. Like he had like he'd take out all these teeth. He had all these missing teeth, like Jack Ham and Jack Lambert. And then he used to run Sandy around. He used to sit in that recliner chair. "Sandy, get me a beer. Sandy, get me my dinner. Sandy, get me a light. Sandy, get me my cigarette." Right. And right on the side of his chair, like his Archie Bunker chair, he had a bottle of Jim Beam. He had his Marlboro Red cigarettes. He had his black cherry tobacco with his pipe. And I was like, man, that's the way men are. And I used to go home and tell my dad, "See, Dad, American men, that's the way they are. You got to stop with this Puerto Rican stuff, the way you're so romantic and loving." And my mom gets a little thirsty and parched. All she has to do is go, and he's like running to the store to get her something to drink. You know what I mean? And I was like, dude, that's not the way it is. So that's the way I started.
Right.
Then what I found myself to behave like, though, even though in my head I thought that's the way I was, if you look at my behavior growing up, I actually respected women in power a lot more than I thought I did. Like, I may have been talking smack, but I actually performed better with women in power, whether it be a strong female teacher, whether it be an employer, whatever it was. I really respected and liked that a lot. And it would always challenge the men, and be a lot more challenging towards male authority than female authority. And then I found Dana. I fell in love with her from day one. So I'm 20 years old, 19. So there goes the objectifying women part that I thought that I was going to be so good at. And I really enjoyed objectifying women for those years. I really did. because I only chose women that objectified me as well. So we had a mutual relationship of, oh, that's the way you are. Oh, I'm like that too.
Right.
Why don't we just get a little messy together and not worry about relationship stuff?
Right.
So Dana was my first love, and I fell in love with her immediately, day one. Then boom. Then I had daughters. If that doesn't change you, I don't know what does. All of a sudden, everything about women completely changed.
That'll do it.
Every man out there now became my enemy, and it was like, why are you looking at her like that, bro? Don't look at her like that. And then you look at the way they dress, and you're not just thinking, wow, you're beautiful. You're thinking about, this is how they're gonna see the way you're dressed. And so it changes my entire perspective, and I'm like, damn, this is difficult.
I instantly got more conservative.
Oh my God. Instantly. I thought this was going to be so rough, man. So rough. And let me tell you something. Walking my daughter down the aisle, my oldest daughter, Dottie, was the most emotional period. I mean, I was breaking down the entire walk.
I bet.
The walk. I broke down so much that my brother, with his one feeling, my brother only has one feeling, and I tapped into it, because when I was breaking down on the way up, my brother was officiating, so he was doing the ceremony. He's an attorney, so he could do it, right? So he's up there now. He starts breaking down. I'm like, oh man, we are done. We are so done.
That's awesome.
And I say all that just to say this. I'm glad I come from a strong woman who just didn't take my smack and didn't allow me to be the kind of guy that I wanted to be. I'm very proud to be the grandson of my abuela, my Mexican abuela, who I knew a lot better than my Puerto Rican abuela. And she was a strong woman, man, strong Betty. And she would tell me, I mean, she knew how crazy I was and how wild I was. She even knew the illegal things I was doing. And yet she would just look at me and just like gave me that bit of confidence that says, if you're going to do it right. If you're going to do this, just that strong thing, you know what I mean? And so I hope that I've passed on that respect that I know that I have in my heart. I hope that I show it enough, not only to my wife, but to my daughters, because that's what's important. It's not so much important what you think or what you say, but I'm a guy of action, and I appreciate actions a lot more than words. So we can do these shows all day long, but if we turn off this computer and right away go,
yeah,
then it means nothing.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And same here. I mean, I grew up. I joke now with my kids, like, the grandma y'all have is not the mother that I grew up with. But I in all honesty, I needed that. In a multitude of ways. Like, I needed somebody because I was just wild, dude. I mean, I had a chip on my shoulder, and I was angry at the world, and I was gonna prove the world that I was better. And yeah, she definitely, what she gave me was a sternness that I needed, like a sense of accountability. But the other thing that she gave me that, I can only say from my own perspective, like, I didn't get that from men in my life. And so I'm not saying men aren't capable of it, because I'd like to think that I am. But what inspired that in me was my mother. And that is just this unconditional love. Just making somebody feel loved. Because I didn't feel love from men in my life growing up. I mean, my father was horrible. And I didn't have...
I did get it from my dad. I did get it
right?
from my dad.
My dad
was not horrible. And my dad was loving and compassionate. So I'm the opposite. I got the understanding and the okay that it's okay you could still be a man. Because my dad's G.I. Joe, bro. 2 tours in Vietnam, 25 years, retired Command Sergeant Major Army. So that's the man's man. And yet he was still soft enough and didn't worry about how that appeared to anybody.
Yeah, I didn't. So I didn't have that. So, from male figures in my life, I didn't really get any soft or even positivity until I was much older. I was into my 18s and I started getting mentors and stuff, and that's when I started to kind of see that. So my fundamentals, if you will, came from my mom. Just seeing how strong she was and how much she persevered, because my mom's been through a lot in her life. I'm talking making Lifetime movies seem like they're a joke. She's been through so much, but to see her, and what that gave her was a sense of determination that is second to none. And I've been around some pretty hard dudes in my life, and my mom would stack up with any of them, to be honest with you. But she always maintained this lovingness about her, and she not only did it to me, but I remember bringing friends in the neighborhood who were bad kids, man. But she would give them a place to stay, and she would help them, and she would encourage them. Even when she worked at the jail dealing with all those people, she still had an affinity of trying to help them and being there. No matter how much most people would say they wouldn't deserve it, she would always be willing to give them love. And I think that instilled that in me, from an early age, the capacity for that. Now, I rebelled, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I rebelled against that. I had my time in the sun where I tried to go off and do whatever. But even in the midst of all that, I still had a foundation of love and respect for women, because I couldn't not, Like I saw firsthand how strong and powerful women can be. And you can't unsee that, Like no matter how much you try, you can't. You've witnessed it. It's there. And I think that's what inspired me to know that it's possible. And that's what gravitated me to those kinds of men as well. Like that's why I befriended the kind of men that had that well-roundedness to them. Because I think I was kind of seeking it out in a sense, and I saw that in them, and I wanted to emulate that. And so for me, that's... I'm telling you, man. Whoa, what is that? Echo. But that's what happen. Sure. But I think that's why you and I kind of agree in the sense that, gosh, man, if I'm honest, I don't mean physical strength, because obviously we have more muscle tone. But as far as overall strength, I think women are the stronger of the species by far. Like I look at what so many women have to endure, and to me, it takes a real strength to not like just say screw it. You know what I mean? Like become bitter and angry. Not to say that there aren't bitter and angry. It happens, of course. But I've seen so many strong women who go through so much, but manage to maintain a sense of dignity and a sense of class and a sense of power through all that kind of come around in the end, if that makes sense. Like as a man, whenever somebody wrongs me, like you were one of the first people that I saw it in as a male, right? I saw it a lot in females. I didn't see it a lot in males, and that is the quote unquote second chances, right? Like whenever somebody would do something, my initial reaction is, "Whoop, you're done." You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna drop the hammer on you and make you pay and accountable and all this other stuff. Towards most of the females in my life, they might feel that, but they lead with love as opposed to anger, and it allows them to give more compassion and second chances and things of that nature. And so for me, like that's impressive to me, because it's so much easier to just drop the hammer and be angry and bitter and mean and screw the world than it is to keep loving, and to continue to be compassionate to those around you and nurturing. Like I told you, what was it, the Harbinger or whatever, monkey study back in the day, Harlow? I can't remember. It starts with an H. Basically, they had the two monkeys, right? And they had food and shelter over here, or food and water over here. And then over here they had like comfort with no actual survival, anything. And the baby monkeys would always go towards the love, even though this is what's going to help you live. They wanted that softness. And for me in my life, women have always been a source of that softness, which is amazing to me.
Say, and although we get to the same outcome,
different paths.
We got there very different.
Which just shows how true it really is, though, right? Like, it really is that true. If you can come at it from two completely different angles and still wind up to the same conclusion, scientifically, then that's it. That's the answer.
When I view strength, when I think strength, I think someone that's able to be less selfish than the other. Yeah. Someone that's able to sacrifice more within themselves. Because that's what I think the true strength is. True strength is sacrifice.
Yeah.
Anybody can be physically strong, but not anyone can be spiritually strong. And what I mean by that, I don't mean religious. I mean like where you think I'm going to do for the whole rather than just for me. And I see many more women that will do for the family than the guy. Now the guy may work hard and do stuff, but we tend to follow our dreams, our ambitions, what we want to do, how we want to do it. And women have always altered that for us.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, I'm not getting into the politics of it or whatever, but they've always altered that for us. So I think within that came lessons that we're not aware of. They're sacrificial lessons that they've just been given from birth that allow them to be stronger, but not be in the forefront. In other words, not be the leader, yet be the leader.
Yeah.
Like That's real strength right there.
Yeah.
Like how you know, like people always say, you know, like when I was growing up in when I started hanging around different cultures and families other than just Latinos, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, oh, macho men, Spanish guys are macho, and I'm thinking, bro, you have no clue. We're allowed to look macho to the women because they allow us to do that. They pump us up, but in the reality, they run that house.
Yeah.
You go back to a Spanish household, that woman runs that house. But even to the kids, she'll say, it's up to your father. Let's do your father. But I know damn well she's telling him. You know what I mean? So that to me is strength.
Yeah.
When you're able to not have to be the one to look like you're leading, or when you're able to make the other person feel that special and that good, and that's what women tend to do.
Yeah.
They tend to make us feel big and strong and powerful and smart and all that. They make us feel that way because naturally we don't feel that way. We're always measuring ourselves up. We're always saying, am I big enough, strong enough, fast enough? You know, all these things. And women go, yes, you are. You're a damn good looking man. You're a strong man. You're a smart man. And man, that just gives us all the confidence in the world. So we go out there and what do? We get in front of the fight. That's why I always joke, you know, God, remember when we used to talk about women don't get all the same jobs, and we looked it up one time and we saw, wait a minute. Men die younger a lot of times in wars and battles too. Like women wanted to be part of war, and it was like, how smart are they to decide? Maybe they're creating the war, and they go, "You guys go fight for it."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like we're all Marines. Like all guys are like Marines. I'm gonna go fight, and then they're sitting back. Ooh, I ain't doing that. You go right ahead and do that, boy. You know. So whatever it is, I don't know. All I know is I've been blessed with beautiful women around me, and I don't mean by looks alone. I just mean by just spirit and strength, and I'm appreciative of that because I don't think that I'd ever, or any man, oh my God, there it goes again.
No, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think any man is the same without good women around them. We're better men when we have good women.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying at the top of the show was women have this, you know, and I think we're saying the same thing, is the ability to bring out, like, to be the true leader and be the glue, if you will, that holds everything together without having to be at the top of the pile, right? Like, they're okay with looking like number two, even though they carry the weight of number one on their shoulders, right?
For real.
And they do. They make they're like, you know, using sports, right? One of the greatest things about Michael Jordan back in the day wasn't the fact that he could outscore anybody. It was the fact that he made everybody around him better. No matter who it was that played on his team, they played at a higher level when they were on the court with him. And to me, I think that's what women have the ability to do better than the male species. And that is, they have the ability to make everybody in the house better. Like, they inspire you to be better. They inspire you to want more for yourself. They inspire you to do things that are more well-rounded, right? Like, the things that I was great at as a male were fantastic for survival. You know, if I need to survive, man, I'm second to none, dude. I feel very confident in my ability to survive, but not in my ability to live. And what I mean by that is, you know, now that I have females in my life, like, I feel like I'm so much better of a human being than I've ever been. And it's not because I'm so much better at survival. It's because I've added these other tools that I never looked at, never respected, never wanted, never cared about. And none of my guy friends instilled that in me. No, it was the women in my life that made me add all these additional tools that make me more adept in taking care of whatever's in front of me. Right? You know, before it was, what is that phrase? If all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Right? Like, that's what I was, you know? But with what women have this ability to put all these other tools in your toolbox that you never even thought of, and it helps you approach problems in such a different way. And I think that is the true power. And the sad part, though, is a lot of women don't know the power that they have. Like, even my own wife, I let her know all the time. I was like, dude, you have so much power. She's like, no, I don't. I said, yeah, you do. Even over me. And I'll flat out admit it, dude. Like, she has so much power over me, more than I would want, but she does. Like, my mood is affected by her mood. You know, my decision making is definitely impacted by her decision making, right? Like, because I don't know if you can relate to that, but I've had days where I'm just in a pissy mood, man. I'm grumpy. I'm not having it. I'm not doing it. It has nothing to do with her. I'm just pissed, and I want to be pissed. Like, I'm not even pushing it off. I'm like, yo, I'm ready to be pissed today. Dude, she could come home in just a great mood and be nice to me, and I cannot remember why I was pissed in the first place. I'm just in such a good mood. And all it was just she came in my orbit and just impacted my whole day without even trying. She just her presence and what she brings to the table was enough to bring me out of that. Dudes aren't going to do that. Man, dudes will embellish it. Dudes will encourage that. Dudes will, yeah, that's messed up. Man, you should be mad. But yet it wasn't even like an intentional thing either. Just my wife, what I've realized over the years with her, the thing that attracts me the most with her is her ability to be vulnerable. When she's vulnerable around me, it makes me feel more connected to her. It makes me feel more at ease, more calm. And that's not something a lot of dudes are with one another, right? Like, as you get older and you get more friends, yeah, it's a little bit easier to be more vulnerable. But the vulnerability that a woman can bring to the table to you, it changes everything. The whole day. It just changes the whole outlook. And to me, I think that's the true power. Like you said, the ability to lead from behind, I think it's very much underappreciated in today's world. And I don't think it gets talked about enough.
You know what I don't think gets talked about enough is I don't think the appreciation of all types of women gets talked about enough, to be honest with you. And here's what I mean by that. When we think about, Women's History Month, like I see a lot of posts about women that have done great things, right? That have either invented things or, the Amelia Earharts of the world, right? That have done these amazing things. And then a lot of people think the maternal, the running the household. But I think it's all of them. I think it's even the beauties, the beauty queen type women, the women that use their looks. Because here's what I think women do better than men. They can, whatever they're given, they know how to use that to their best advantage. I think we always try to use certain tools, like you said, the hammer, the nail deal, right? Like so even though I wasn't a very strong hammer, I still hammered nails. So it would just take me a lot more times to hit the stupid nail to get it. I still threw tantrums the way other males throw tantrums. Right? It wasn't until later in life where I knew, oh wait, see this thing right here, I can manipulate. And I got to use this more. I got to use this more, right? But it seems like women naturally are adapting constantly to whatever structure in the home they have. Then the work structure they have. It's like, since you're always kind of hungry and always kind of in adversity, it's like you learn faster and better. You know what I mean? Like nothing was given to them at all. And so how like when we talk about white privilege, right? And it's really hard for a lot of people to grasp what that really means. And then there's the people that abuse that white privilege language to the point where they say everything you have is because you're white. No, there's just this innate doors that get open for some of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know what those are, but I know because I'm a lighter skinned Latino, sometimes the door that's open is that people view me one way rather than another. And by them viewing me one way rather than another, they hear what I have to say. And if I say the right thing, boom, it doesn't matter now that I have this bloodline or whatever I come from, because now I've sold them on what I said or how I am. They gave me that opportunity. And those kinds of things, I think, happen to women everywhere. And so here's what's different than like color, for instance, or sexual identity. Women are women. Even women are being attacked by men that now want to be women. It's like even women are attacked constantly in their space. Their space is never fully respected as just their space.
No, not at all.
For instance, if I wanted to be a woman, I can go say I'm a woman, and they just have to take it. They don't. They're not even able to say you're really not, because now they're bad people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like everything they do is at a disadvantage, and I know that we disagree on some of the things in regards to the advantages and disadvantages that have existed, but it's the way I view it. I view it that they have always come from a point of disadvantage, but they have maximized it. And I think it's wonderful, and I can't wait to the day we have a female president, a competent, good female president, not just because she's female, but because there are women that can do this job better, and it's time to have something like that.
Look around.
Not just because. I'm glad that they don't come from the angle of just because. Men do that. Men pick things just because.
Sure.
Women don't pick things just because. They pick the person that's best for the job, and that's what I appreciate them for.
Yeah, well, they're not as constrained or held prisoner to the ego that we are, right? Not to say that they don't have egos, of course they do, but it's different, right? Like ours is always a chance to prove that I'm bigger and better, right? It's always about respect or whatever.
Right.
Like I said, hammer and nail, man. Our perspective is always, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to make it happen.
But there are some negatives, though. I think that
of course
they have a lot more infighting than we do. So
yes.
If they could fix that little tweak, if they could tweak that little infighting thing,
they would be unstoppable. They would be unstoppable.
They'd be completely
yes.
dangerous.
Yes.
So that little infighting keeps them in check.
Yes. Yes. They would be unstoppable. But no, I mean, yeah, I think like in negotiations and things of that nature, right? Like I think back to what was it? You and I are coming back from a NASCAR thing. And that kid from Up Live or whatever, right? We met with him.
Yeah.
And I always think back to that. When we walked away from that meeting with this kid, we were both like, that was weird, right? Couldn't put our finger on it. It was just something off, something weird. We had our own little narrative that we came up with. And as two dudes, it was probably the simplest narrative that you could think of. It was just face value, and we both just latched onto it and ran with it like it was fact. You couldn't convince us otherwise. One phone call with my wife, and she just had a completely different take on it, and we were like, damn, that makes a lot of sense, right? Like, and that's what I mean, though, is that's one thing I'm always fascinated, like you said, the flexibility, the ability to look at it from a different angle instantly, to whereas we kind of like dial in on one, and our ego won't let us admit or think that we're maybe off a little bit. We just know that's what it is. This is it. I know it. And it's like, nah, maybe not. That flexibility, I think, is not innate with us, right? And it can't be, right? If you look back in the caveman days, like we had to go out there and kill something, so we had to focus and jump all in. We couldn't stop to think, hey, maybe that saber-toothed tiger is going to kill me right now. No, we had to think, I'm going to beat it. That's how we came home with it.
It's honorable to die by saber-toothed
tiger. Yeah. To whereas women are like, I'm not. I don't want to die right now. I'm going to go pick a berry. How about that? This berry's not going to kill me.
But that's what I say. As much as it looks like we've always controlled the earth,
no.
They said you go out there and you're big and you're strong. You can go kill that saber.
And our big dumb self are like, okay.
Yeah, they're like, yes, I killed saber-toothed tiger. It's like, dude, are you nuts?
Yeah. Well, even now, look at the rates of the men dying and stuff. We die more in the workplace than women do because we pick the most dangerous jobs.
Right, and so now because they wanted to do the same jobs, now they're dying younger and younger.
Yeah.
No, women, you had it right.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. You had it just right.
Yeah.
You died less of a heart attack and everything. Just kick back and chill.
Well, and I think that's the thing that the history books don't write about, right? And that's the same that I've had conversations. I won't go into the details of the conversations because the things that I've said aren't necessarily air appropriate. But when you look back at history, right, the things that get notated in history are the Amelia Earharts and the Joan of Arcs, the ones who've done these like amazing things.
Right.
But I think the ones that don't get talked about that you don't see in the history books are like the women in some of these great men's lives. The one, like I think of like 300, right? 300 is probably one of my favorite movies. To me, 300 is indicative. Like when I was younger, I loved the movie 300 because that's what a man is right there, baby. Like that's Spartan, right?
Right.
But now that I'm older, I look back on it. Yeah, that's what men are, and that's what I think men's great. But if you also look at it, that's also what made women great. Like that, his wife was amazing in that movie. In his times of worry and his times of indecision or whatever it was, she was able to calm and be like, no, this is who you are, right? She's the one who told him, come back on the shield or with it, right? Like, she's the one who inspired him to be who he was. And so if you think back at all these great men in history, how many of those great men in history wouldn't be who they are if they didn't have a great woman in their household with them? That, to me, I think is the most amazing thing. If we look back on, the real history of things, how many women are actually behind the scenes making all these great men do all these great things? We're just the puppets, essentially, like you said, man. We're, and I think that even in my own house, like you said, man, like this whole happy wife, happy life is kind of true, right? We all want to act like, no, I'm the man of the house. Yeah, sure, I'm the man of the house, but if you look around, it's obvious that I'm not, right? Half the things around here I wouldn't do, but I secretly like most of them, right? Like, my wife will put like a pillow or a color or something in the house that I would never do, right? But now that it's here, it's like, this is kind of cool, actually. It does look a lot better. Or, you know what? Stupid things, like dumb things. Like my wife put something on our bed, right? Some like cushion thing. I hated it. Yeah, when she told me she ordered it, I was like, that's stupid. Why would I do that? Whatever. Bro, that is the most comfortable thing that I've ever had on my bed, ever. Right? And if it was up to me, I never would have done that. I wouldn't have. Matter of fact, there was days where I was having like some pain in my back. And it was because of that. And I was still like, no, this is stupid. She got it. And it's like, so it's like, yeah, man, like we really are like the children, right? They're the leader in the house. They let us run off and do what we want to do when we want to. But at the end of the day, calm down. I've got things. And I really do think that's how it is. That's not to say we don't have our strengths, right? We have things that we're good at or whatever. But I think as a whole, that keeps the home functioning as a home is the woman. I think we take care of business, right? Like we'll do it's almost like the difference between surviving and living, right? We'll take care of the things that need to get done in order for the house to not just completely fall apart structurally. But they're the ones who make it a home. They're the ones that keep everything running smoothly, keep everybody feeling good, keep everybody wanting to be on the same team. And I think that's an innate ability that is probably the most beautiful and the most powerful thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. And we all want to like pretend like it doesn't exist sometimes. Like I can't tell you how many dudes that I've talked to that'll say one thing and then I hear from the wife, there's something completely different. Right, like because when the wives get together, they'll talk about things, and then they'll come back and tell you, and it's like really, and it's because we all have this softer side, man. We all like to pretend like we don't, but we do, and that's okay. That's what I've learned as I've gotten older is it's okay to have that soft side. Like I'm proud of my soft side, and I'm proud of the fact that my wife and my daughters bring it out of me. Like yeah, I worked hard for that, and it makes me better. It makes me look at life better. It makes me enjoy life much more. I think it makes me better to be around. I think it makes me a better father, a better husband, a better friend. It makes me better in everything because it didn't take away from me. It added to me. And I think that that's what women are able to do is they build everybody up around them. And I think that's it's beautiful, man. And it's powerful.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very happy to have been chosen by Dana. I'll joke with her and I don't always tell her that. I'll tell her, I chose her.
Well, you chose each other.
But yeah, there's a mutual thing there. But I'm glad that she chose me because when a woman calls you her best friend, that's to me it just means different. You know what I mean? And so it just means something more special when Dana would call me her best friend.
Dude, I'm gonna interrupt you now because you just said something that so the day before I went to the ER, I kid you not. It's funny you said that. My wife come to me and she said to me, she basically said that. She's like, you're my best friend. And I told her, I was like, dude, I don't think she's never said that to me. She said that to me that day and I was like, that is the nicest thing that, like, you don't understand how cool. It was such a powerful thing to hear her tell me that she's my best friend. It literally made me feel so good inside. You think so, but she put words to it. Right. But then the funny thing is, the next day I go to the hospital and almost die. So she pulled me to the side. She's like, "You're not allowed to be my best friend anymore." So I laughed when you said that. But I agree with you 100%. When she told me that, it was like the greatest thing ever. Like I even told her, I was like, "Dude, I don't think you realize how important that was for me to hear."
Yeah. Yeah, because if they want to spend time with you, because they could easily like spend time with each other, right?
Yeah.
They can hear each other out, listen to each other because we talk different, we share stories different. We relax different, right? We do so many things that are different. So when she wants to spend time with me or do things with me and allows me to go do everything that I do, because I'm constantly out there doing stuff, right? That's just so appreciative. I'm so appreciative of that I'm allowed to go do the things that I do, and when I come home, my home is still the home, like you said. You know what I mean? Like it's consistent. It's a constant. I know what home is going to feel like. I know what it's going to smell like. I know where things. Well, I don't know where things are going to be. But
no, I never know that.
But if I ask her, she's going to know where it is.
Yeah.
Like this hat. Like a few minutes, like an hour ago, I couldn't find it. It was in its place, but I apparently don't know its place. So that happens to a lot of things. You know what I mean? I put them in one area where I think, wow, this is a convenient situation.
You're wrong
for me, right? And then she's like, well, I'm going to put it in its place, and that's pretty much the way life is. It's just like at least my woman's constantly trying to figure out the place for everything. and that gives me a level of consistency,
Right.
that I know I can depend on. I don't know, I don't know how to fully explain that, but I know it's a good feeling that I have.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
though I like to rag on her about it a little bit.
well, of course. Well, the idea too of knowing that somebody cares whether I come home or not. You know what I mean? Like that's a good feeling. Like knowing somebody, like when all this stuff happened, she cared. Like she jumped into action, and that's a good feeling. I definitely had people call me. I know you did. I have other friends in my life and stuff, but the way she cared was a little bit different than everybody else. I could see and I could feel the impact of like this. There's another human being on this planet that is unafraid to let me know how much I mean to them. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's what I meant earlier when I said the vulnerability, man. Like that's a beautiful thing. And I think that's something that they help bring out of us is their vulnerabilities, man. So, anyways, you got any final things you want to put out there about women and international or National Women's Day or whatever it's called? I don't know the exact name of it, but
Yeah, I don't either. I just know that I when I say these things about women, it's not to discount men, and I think that's also important too. I
yeah,
think that
two things
because
can be
we're
true.
fragile, we're fragile, we're emotional, we're sensitive, we're all that stuff. So we need you guys to give us, whatever you give us, the attaboys, the affection, the love, the attention. We need that, and you're so good at it. You women out there are just so good at it. You know how to make us feel worthy. You know how to make us feel valuable. You know how to make us feel strong and smart. And I can only hope that we as men can continue to teach our younger men how to do that for our women, because I think that's what we need to do. We don't need to be like too soft because they like us a little hard,
Sure.
but sometimes when we overact the hard, we lose the softness. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you, men, continue to be the men that you feel like you need to be or can be, but just be emotionally available. I think that's the biggest thing. Just be emotionally available, and just watch out for any kind of clues or signs or symptoms that they need a little of your attention, and they need a little of your kind words too. And maybe you think you're saying something, but maybe that's not the way it's coming out. Maybe you think you're doing something, but maybe that's not the way it's coming out. So just spend a little bit more attention trying to figure that out instead of always trying to make it come to you. Because, yeah, women are good at doing that. They'll come to you. But you get a woman with resentment and anger and frustration, it ain't going to work well for you, brother. It's just
No.
not. So you may have forgotten the argument back in 1992.
She has
But
not.
I assure you, take it from a man who's been married forever. When I got married in what, 93. And so married forever. I've been with her since 1990. They don't forget a darn thing. And so it's important for you to be a good man all the way through. And if you do, there is no loyalty, there is no love, there is no affection, no support like that of a woman. Thank you very much to all the women in my life for giving me that and allowing me to feel as free as I do, as strong as I do, and as smart as I do, because it's all because of you. Thank you.
I don't even know how to follow that, man, because I couldn't have said that any better myself. Before I do my wrap up and basically agree with everything you just said, let me say thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on social media. He is at the Dope Doctor. I am at the Dharma Guy. You can also check out this podcast on either Dope and Dharma or Dharma Time, whichever one you prefer. You can get it all over YouTube. You can get it on podcast, any of the major podcast forums. So yeah, I think I'm just going to echo everything you just said, man. I think for the women out there, I love you. Couldn't do it without you. You guys make this world such a better place. You get on our nerves sometimes, but we get on yours as well. Like that's just part of the game here. But overall, couldn't do it without you guys, man. And I do my best to try to make sure I say I'm appreciative as much as I remember to. But you guys just understand what you bring to the table. What you bring to the table is so invaluable. Like you can't put a price tag on it. And understand that you walk around with a certain amount of power that you might not realize, but you do. You make us better. You make everybody around you better. And when you look in the mirror, know that. because I know sometimes you maybe feel underappreciated or you feel like you're not being heard. But I promise you, you're making an impact, whether you realize it or not. And for the dudes out there, stop pretending that you don't need them. Stop pretending that women are an accessory in your life, because they're not. They really are the other half. They are part of what makes you whole. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner. It could be your mom, could be your sister, could be that female friend that you're cool with or coworker. It doesn't matter. They're bringing something to your life that only they can bring, man. And so it's time for us as men to appreciate that. It's time for us to show our vulnerability by saying and acknowledging, hey, thank you, like, for what you do. I see it, and it's just as important. I think that's the thing, is we as men sometimes forget that what they bring to the table is not only different, but it's just as important. Like, we start to think what we bring to the table is so much more important, but it's really not. It's just as important. They're two pieces of one whole picture. So, thank you, women. Yeah, thank you for all the powerful women in my life. Thank you for all the lessons that you've taught me and continue to teach me. And thank you for humbling me, because without you guys, I wouldn't have the humility that I do now. And for that, I'm grateful. So that's all I got for today. Thank you guys so much, and good to see you again. So now that you know better, do better. Peace. Are you still here? What are you doing? I told you, go do better.